Sure. Exterior.
Escape hatch. When Sally, Marilyn Burns, escapes by jumping out the window, the glass was actually breakaway sugar glass, made by Bob Burns and Mary Church. In fact, Mary did the stunt of jumping out the window. A mattress and some empty boxes were placed outside the window for her to land on, but setting up the shot took a long time. With the humidity of the Texas summer, the breakaway glass began to dissolve. When I went through it, I was like a glass woman because now I had little particles stuck all over me because the stuff was wet, Mary said. If they'd waited probably another 45 minutes, I don't know if there'd been any glass in those windows. Escape hatch. Truck. For the film, Gunnar Hansen found Leatherface's voice while driving in Austin, Texas. I remember exactly where I was. I had just turned south on Rio Grande from 19th Street, just south of the university. In a once elegant neighborhood of multi-story houses slowly being transformed into funky offices for lawyers and architects, from somewhere deep inside, I let out a piercing, agonizing howl. A big howl. I had to stop the car. The hair was standing up on my neck and arms. An unpleasant tingle ran down my spine. I was frightened. I drove home and went to bed, pulling the covers over my head. I don't ever want to make that sound again.
It's actually pretty cool. We're going to be playing this thing, guys, and we're going to be learning some stuff about the film along the way. Very cool. I'm going to find the code to open the door. Somewhere? If you forget the code, look at the cook's truck. Okay, so we find the cook's truck, find the code. Truck up here, so this is the cook's.
Car. In one notable scene in the original film, the cook approaches the house and sees the hitchhiker. They have an altercation at the truck where the cook beats the hitchhiker with a broom handle and clearly shows off the relationship between the two characters. The reason that the scene works so well is that it's entirely real. Jim Sedow, the cook, was actually beating Ed Neal, the hitchhiker. radio. The song on the radio when the hitchhiker is picked up in the van is Roger Bartlett's Fool for a Blonde. Bartlett has said that Tobe Hooper chose the song because he thought the hitchhiker was a fool for Sally. Fake hammer, real impact. The scenes in the movie with the sledgehammer seem real, and there's good reason for that. Though the prop master Bob Burns made a fake hammer with a foam rubber head, there were still complications. Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen recalled hitting actor William Vail while filming Kirk's death scene. I was completely charged up on adrenaline, skittishly hopping back and forth as if I were speeding. So when Bill tripped and I stepped out of the shadows, I actually hit him in the face with the sledgehammer. Fake or not, it left its mark. In the pivotal dinner scene, actor Marilyn Burns, who played Sally, was actually struck and bled. I went to the bucket, said Burns, and then Grandpa hit me over the head with the other prop that was a piece of steel, a sledgehammer. That hurt. That wasn't fake. As Hansen noted, some of the blood in Sally's hair is actually Marilyn's.
Oh, so cool. We're learning so much about the history of the film here, guys. This is really a neat addition that Gun Media gave to us for this game. It's very cool to learn the history of the franchise. We still haven't found out that code.
Car. In one notable scene in the original film, the cook approaches the house and sees the hitchhiker. They have an altercation at the truck where the cook beats the hitchhiker. Okay, so we gotta look for the special symbol that's on the car. No special symbol. movie shorts. A lot of shots were set up on the fly during principal photography by Daniel Pearl and Toby Hooper. One such shot that Hooper would years later call the best shot in the film was no exception. That shot, of course, being the iconic shot of Pam approaching the family house. Cinematographer Daniel Pearl was laying flat on a dolly with the camera tilted up. The goal of the shot was to make the house appear bigger and bigger in the frame as Pam approached it.
Just alert. Code. Looks like the code here, maybe.
Chicken Nugget. The game's composer, Ross Tregenza, used real chickens for the audio for Nugget. He luckily had a close friend and fellow composer that owned a farm with several chickens. The name Nugget was born from brand strategy lead Matthew Zepp. The name is a nod to the longtime nickname of his nephew. Chicken Nugget. Yeah, that's good. Welcome to the picture of the cook's card. Well, keep them anyways. Okay, that doesn't work, so we don't need it. Alright. Okay. Car Radio.
Battery, actually, could be looking for batteries. Feels okay. Narrow melodies. Front field. Oh wait, I think this is what we're looking for.
Hey there! Stop and turn. Gunnar Hansen's stop and turn move was an accident. The boots that Gunnar Hansen wore had 3-inch lifts to make him taller, though because of this, if he didn't stop suddenly and then turn, he would lose his balance and fall. The weight of the chainsaw also impacted his movements due to its sheer weight. So after falling on the first take, Gunnar stopped, turned, and one of Leatherface's signature moves was born. Kim Henkel would call it the Keystone move. The shot of his signature move was recreated in the unrated gameplay trailer of our game. The opening shot. The armadillo in the opening shot of the film was an actual armadillo that production designer Robert Burns found on the side of the road and taxidermied himself. According to Robert Burns, the original script called for a shot of a dead dog on the side of the road, and then the camera would pan to the green van. After further thought, Toby Hooper felt a dog was too domesticated to show in that light and deemed it too horrible for audiences. This is when an armadillo was decided to be their best bet, as it fit as a symbol for Texas. Robert Burns then found a dead armadillo on the side of the road and took it home himself to taxidermy the animal. This is how the opening shot of the film was born.
Back to the there. Oh, that's cool. Next door.
Car radio.
Alright, guys, I'm not sure exactly where this other thing is. Oh, if there's a special way to check it, it says. Hmm. That's it. Okay, so nothing there. Hmm. Ooh. GKB 636. I think I've seen that one actually. get this last thing, which should probably give us the code to go into Leatherface house. Ah, here it is. Oh, it's a fun little scavenger hunt. $1973. Okay. So that's our code to get into the house. We'll do some more exploring in the house. Alright, so we got another checklist to do. I believe this is our first one. Oh, okay, so we gotta find some of the other ones.
He really cut her. According to Gunnar Hansen, he really cut Marilyn Burns' finger in the infamous grandpa feeding scene. The prop knife, designed to pump out fake blood, wouldn't work after several takes. Finally, when no one was looking, Gunnar Hansen removed the tape from the knife that made it dull and really cut Marilyn's finger. Knowing this, that would mean that actor John Dugan, Grandpa, sucked on the actual blood of Marilyn Burns. Kim and Toby before Texas. Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper met during the filming of Hooper's 1969 film Eggshells. 4 years later, they would go on to create the production company Vortex Inc. and co-create the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Another Texas Chainsaw actor was also part of the Eggshells cast. Alan Danziger, better known as Jerry to Chainsaw fans, co-starred in the earlier film.
That's a what I need.
Possible titles. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre wasn't the first or even second title of the film. The first two working titles were Head Cheese and Leatherface. Head Cheese was the first working title of the film, though, for most of principal photography. Leatherface was the working title until late into production, when it was finally given the official title of The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper intended for the title to be spelled Chainsaw, but once the press were sent information on the film, and when the original poster was produced, the spelling got twisted into Chainsaw.
Oh. Okay, need that.
Cheap thrills. Screenwriter Kim Henkel has said that one of the reasons he and Tobe Hooper wanted to make a horror film was their limited budget. If you have relatively little money, what are your possibilities? Henkel says. The clear answer was some sort of genre piece. Horror was the easiest because we felt that we didn't have to have any names in the cast. Production values weren't nearly so important as in some other realms, so it became the natural choice.
Oh,
Friend of Leatherface. Since both of her parents were working on the film, 3-year-old Karina Nicolau was often on set and struck up a friendship with Leatherface actor Gunnar Hansen. He recalled their interactions. She had never liked my Leatherface mask. She was sitting with me one day while I waited for a shot setup. When Dottie, makeup artist Dorothy J. Pearl, came to put on my mask, it horrified Karina. As soon as it covered my face, she started screaming. I had Dottie pull it off. See, I said, it's just me. She calmed down, but when I put the mask on again, she started screaming again. I realized she was too young to make the leap, to see my transformation from Gunnar to Leatherface and understand that I was still under the mask. So I made sure she never saw me in the mask after that, at least until the unfortunate meat hook scene. Ashtray. Actors are paid varying amounts for their work in film. For his voiceover in the opening monologue of the film, John Larroquette was paid with a single joint. Recent reports, however, suggest that his rate has gone up. Preparing for the role. To prepare for the role of Leatherface, Gunnar Hansen went to Austin State School, which was a 95-acre residential and training facility for adults with developmental disabilities. He was there several days to pick up the residents' mannerisms and how they walked and talked. It was important to Gunnar to portray the character authentically, without making a mockery of those who suffer from developmental disabilities. The Apprehension Engine. Gun Interactive's own Wes Keltner led the direction of music for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. One day, Wes was at home brainstorming, and in the background he had 2015's The Witch playing. He wasn't watching the film, but was more listening to it. The sounds and music in the film struck him as he was listening. He asked himself, what instruments are they using to make those unique sounds? It turned out, those sounds were created by an apprehension engine. Wes was able to track down Tony Dugan Smith, who makes roughly 6 of these instruments a year, and was informed that the apprehension engine took around 7 months to build. Wes then had the honor to have a meeting with film composer and creator of music for The Witch, Mark Corvin. It was at this meeting where Corvin said, "Forget everything you know about playing guitar and other instruments. Approach the apprehension engine like a child, and experience and discover." From there, the direction of sounds for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game were born.
this is so cool. You're learning so much here, guys.
Hitchhiker's camera. The make and model of the Hitchhiker's camera is a Polaroid automatic 230 land camera. It was manufactured and distributed from 1967 to 1969. This camera previously belonged to Maria Flores. The hitchhiker stole it after she was stalked and kidnapped by Johnny. No living animals were harmed. Initially, art director Robert Burns wanted set pieces of real dead cats and dogs. The crew acquired dead animal carcasses from a veterinarian and actually tried to embalm them with formaldehyde. Makeup artist and production assistant Dorothy Pearl, at the time the wife of the film's cinematographer Daniel Pearl, was injecting a dead animal with formaldehyde when she accidentally injected into her own leg through the animal. Toby Hooper then ordered that the dead animal carcasses had to be thrown out. The crew poured gasoline to cremate them, but the stench from the smoke from the bonfire started to make its way into the family house and added to an already foul stench set. Hitchhiker's pocket knife. This weapon is a nod to everyone's favorite unlikable character, Franklin, from the 1974 film. According to creative director Ronnie Hobbs and designer Rob Fox, they knew the likelihood of Franklin ever appearing in the video game was slim to none, so this was their way of including him as a small Easter egg. Sissy's straight razor. After Kim Henkel and creative director Ronnie Hobbs finished designing Sissy's look and backstory, the only question left was what type of weapon would she carry. According to Kim's secret catalog of character concepts, he always envisioned Sissy wielding some type of straight razor, a small, portable weapon that could stay hidden until just the right time. It's petite and deadly, just like Sissy. It fit her personality perfectly. So even though the hitchhiker carries it in the original 1974 film, it did in fact previously belong to Sissy. As far as what happened to her, or where Sissy is during the 1974 film, well, that's a story for another time. Jim Seadow's toughest scene to get right was the broomstick clubbing at the gas station. Since the prop was an actual wooden broom handle, he was afraid of hurting his fellow actor in the scene. After several takes of it looking fake, Seadow really struck his fellow actor in the final take. It was an exhausting shoot for everyone, but Marilyn Burns had it as bad as anyone on set. She did several takes of diving through the doorway of the gas station, and each time she would land knee first on the hard concrete floor. So many times that the floor tore up and severely bruised her knees. Toby meets the cook. Director Toby Hooper offered the part of the old man, the cook, to Jim Sedow after they worked together in the 1971 film The Wind Splitter. They were both a part of the cast in said film. Hooper and Sedow weren't the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre alumni to work on The Wind Splitter. Ron Bozeman was the key grip, Kim Henkel was credited as the grip, and Sally Richardson was the assistant director. News of the day. Toby Hooper wanted to parody the news reports of the day, which he considered televised lies, and so devised the opening voiceover, famously recited by actor John Larroquette.
Let's be.
Family name. The family has gone by several surnames.
All right.